How do you think the promise of AI versus the expectations are going to kind of match up in the next 3 years?
Well, opinions vary a lot as to that. You read about in the press or talk about at shareholders that are aiming to incorporate AI as a core strategic element of their company, like technology has been done, right? In the past couple of years, you have these tech-centric companies that are saying, we're not an airline anymore. We're not a financial services company. We're a data company, or we're a tech company that works in this space. You see that they are actively deploying a lot of this technology, working together with the tech vendors, and are making a lot of advancements in this space. They see a lot of risks, they see a lot of caveats, but they can actually paint a quite decent picture of where this is going quite credibly. So what we end up with is a lot of hurdles that prevent us from actually realizing this potential that is in that promise you mentioned. But these hurdles all, at this point, from our professional perspective, seem solvable. So it's either regulatory constraints that always follow innovation, right? Like we saw with Uber, regulations get adopted to maximize value creation. But in some cases, it might take a long time. Specifically, if you take a look at financial services or pharma, they both of the industries agree that there's quite a stable ecosystem in place. But this ecosystem actually, with banking licenses required, with the pharmaceutical processes like an FDA in place, etc., it's harder for startups to enter this market. But at some point, we see that the expectations, both in financial services and in pharma and in recruiting, and as we've seen like the last 20 years in automotive, there are startups that can and will disrupt this space. And that could be smaller companies, but it could also be the Amazons of this world who are moving into these new areas, backed, of course, with a lot of capital to counter any regulatory issues they may encounter or any failed pilots that may arise where they learn from more quickly.
So, what are some other big areas where maybe promises aren't kind of matching up with what's actually happening now?
Sometimes you see generative AI producing content that looks really valid, but it's actually made up. So the AI is more concerned with creating the output than with it being able to validate it sometimes. So those are concerns that companies have. And the big issue there is, of course, the explainability of AI's outcome. If you deny somebody a loan request as a financial institution, you'd better be able to explain to that individual why you turned them down. You need to be able to explain to the regulator why you turned them down or approved it. So, and if the AI is, like in many cases, still a black box as to how it came to its outcomes, there's a problem. And ways companies are circumventing that because they recognize the problem is they use AI basically to triage. So if you're an insurance company and you get a lot of claims, which previously all had to be manually checked, is you have the AI now automatically either escalate or de-escalate certain claims to humans. And what happens is that the human specialists are able to put more attention on the tougher situations that actually need more knowledge.